What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Layback Podcast. Joining us today is 2024 NAIA National Champion, left-handed pitcher, Hope International legend record holder. Yeah, we're gonna boost his ego now, so maybe he shares a little bit more with us down the line. But this is Josh Landry. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Josh mostly via text or in the background of FaceTimes with his pitching coach Peyton Lobdell over the past couple of years. And just after watching Josh's success and Hope's positioning now, hoping they can make another run in the NAIA World Series here, that it was the perfect time to finally get him on and have him tell the story of his career in baseball and really the success of the program at Hope, a program that's kind of near and dear to our hearts at this point. Our first NAIA program. It's been awesome to work with those guys and get to know a handful of them over the years. So, Josh, thanks a ton for the time today. You're obviously joining us from sunny Southern California. So, I don't know if even
West
before we get
Coast
to
or
the
best
bio,
coast?
yeah, even if we before we get into the bio, if you want to give us the quick little verbal tour.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, we have some visual listeners, but
this is it
can,
right here, folks. West Coast to best coast.
for those who are audio only, Josh is sitting in a cabana chair on his rooftop in, are you Huntington Beach? Are you
We
Irvine?
are. We're
Huntington
Huntington
Beach,
Beach.
technically.
Hmm.
And he told us he's a mile off the Pacific coast. He can see the beach from his rooftop here. So if that wasn't a recruiting pitch enough, who cares about how good the baseball program is? You can just sit on your rooftop and look out at the ocean, right?
Oh yeah, it's right down the street. It's only a mile. Smell the ocean every morning.
Now that we got that out of the way, Josh, hit us with the bio. Hit us with the highlights.
Well, first off, thank you. This is a blast. I was stoked when I woke up and saw you had text me asking if I wanted to come out and do this, and I was like, absolutely, this is gonna be fun. But what's up? I am a very old senior. I'm 25 in my senior year at Hope International. I went to Cypress College before this and I graduated from Cypress High School in 2018. So it's definitely been a little bit of a longer path than I thought I was signing up for. But after everything that's happened, I cannot complain. I'm blessed to be able to continue to play this game, to be where I'm at, to have the help I have, including you. You've been an immaculate resource the last 3 years. So I just wanted to say thank you for that as well.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely didn't expect you to hit the shout out quota this early. I expected you to check that off way at the end of the podcast when I hit my little reminders of like, hey, Josh, thank me, thank us. But no, seriously, that really does mean a lot. As I said in the intro, it's been awesome getting to work with you guys, get to know you guys. And you guys have certainly helped me to feel like a winner because you guys win a lot of ball games. So I don't know if we want to kick that off first. I guess give people a little look into the Hope International program in general.
Well, it's very, very articulated with how we do everything. Even in the fall, Lob has a very complex plan for everybody. Bullpen guys have their own plan, starters have their own plan. Even with our in-season stuff, with our Flex Pro, we have the starters and bullpen. There's a lot of different stuff that we do. We incorporate armored heat into things too. So
Hey everyone, my apologies for chiming in here, but it appears we had minor technical difficulties with the recording of Josh Landry's podcast. We missed a little bit of his intro and really defining what makes the Hope International program special. As you guys might have heard, or the last thing that you probably heard was him referencing all of the starters and relievers having their own individual plans and what it looks like developmentally through the program. And then as you start hearing us pick up the conversation again, Josh talks about the new turf field and the turf mound out at Hope International and how he actually misses a dirt mound. And then I go into referencing how we might need a biomechanist to come on because Josh said he previously had a lot of arm pain, a lot of shoulder pain, but got all of that stuff taken care of through Flex Pro Grip and their programming at Hope International. But now a lot of the guys he feels might be dealing with some knee pain or lower body things, and he threw up the little flag of referencing that he believes turf mounds might be the cause of some lower body injuries in pitchers. So look forward to that. I made note of it on the side, as you'll hear me reference, and I'm going to look to explore that maybe with someone on the podcast in the future. But just wanted to address the technical difficulties. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the podcast.
Renaissance that's going on.
We might need to call in a biomechanist real quick. I don't know. I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna next time I have a biomech specialist on the pod, I'm gonna make sure that question gets addressed.
Well, it's I also miss playing a mound. I miss doing things the old-fashioned way. I used to do the mound barefoot and get the toes all in the grass, get grounded.
Well, now that we have a quick little look into the way plans are set up, I want to clarify a few things. So you mentioned Lob, that's Coach Peyton Lobdell, owner operator of Backyard Bullpen, and assistant coach with you guys at Hope International. You obviously joined Lob on the field. What was that? The fall of 2023, going into the 2024 season, if I'm correct. That's when you transferred over from Cypress.
Correct.
Did you work with Lob previously at the yard, or was that kind of your intro to him?
That was the first time I had worked with him, but I was teammates with Connor and Trey at Cypress. And so they had already been going to Lob. They've been doing all the, the dock workouts in the Cypress gym. And, you see them doing this stuff over there and you're like, bro, what are you doing? Like, come do your deadlifts. We're doing just the regular traditional strength and conditioning stuff, and they're over here doing these crazy workouts. Fast forward a year later, and you're like, oh, makes sense. So that was the first time actually working with Lob, was in the fall of 23, and it was fun right away. You could tell, like, this guy's a player's coach, fresh out from playing, so he gets it. And he definitely made the pitching staff unified. It was a whole lot of fun. That 2024 staff was a lot of fun.
The exclamation point on the whole deal was winning the national championship, of course. So that's not so bad. Anything can be fun if you go out on top as a winner. But before we spend too much time on the career at Hope, I want to backpedal now. I want to backpedal to the start. You said you graduated in 2018 from high school, and we are now in 2026. So for those of you who aren't as gifted with math, that means it has been 8 years almost since your high school graduation date, and you're still playing out the string in college baseball. I personally am jealous. I text friends of mine all the time saying I think I have eligibility with all the new rules. As far as I'm concerned, I still have my medical waiver to use for my 6th year that I'm fighting here and there. I don't know when or where I'm going to be able to use it, but I'm convinced I can still get it if I pull on the right strings and call the right people. So I don't know. Hope might be the spot for all I know with how NAIA works.
I was going to say NAIA, you get away with
it. For real.
Get away with anything in NAIA.
What has transpired for you to still be in college baseball at this point?
So my first year at Cypress, that would have been the 2018-2019 year. I redshirted that year, but we had this pitching staff at Cypress College. We had 5 guys go D1 and another one go to LC, just a whole lineup of dogs. So if you were an incoming freshman, odds are you were going to end up either getting less than 10 innings and you're going to lose out on your freshman year of eligibility, or you redshirted. A lot of guys redshirted. I redshirted. Come back next year, COVID cancels it. So redshirt, COVID. Training with Brian Bass down in Aliso. And he expressed to me he goes, you know what? The amount of force that you're putting out, I don't know if your body's built up. Sure enough, we go first inter squad of September. I throw a nasty changeup. I think it broke 7 feet arm side. but I felt the nastiest bite in my elbow, and I was like, whoa, that wasn't right. Tried to throw another pitch, and I was like, I didn't say anything. Ended up, getting the last out, throwing nothing but cut fastballs. That's all I had. Uh, yeah, should have had imaging done, but I didn't. We tried to rehab it for later on, get back that year. Didn't work out. I ended up losing that third year and the fourth year due to Tommy John. And then my fifth year, my freshman year. So we played that last year at Cypress, that fifth year at Cypress. And then in 23, 24 is when I transferred over to Hope. And that's when I was a sophomore with
So your
6
clock
years.
had never really started at that point because
Right.
I know red shirts are a little bit funky, especially in the California community college system, because nobody's on money. You always have to remind people of that when you have the discussions. It's almost like club ball in a sense. I mean, granted,
Mhm.
it's the best club ball around. I'm not trying to make people think California junior college baseball is some joke. Obviously, you said you had all those guys signed D1, but
Mhm.
guys aren't scholarship, guys don't have housing, guys don't have whatever. So it's almost like it's back to like youth travel ball in a sense. Like you're paying to be a part of this team more or less, and you just
Yep.
have to take class. Thus, your clock never started. So then let's just summarize. So for lack of better terminology, weren't good enough
Red.
your first year because
Yep.
your staff was a bunch of dogs.
Yep. Red
Get
shirt.
hurt, get hurt in the fall of your sophomore year. Yeah,
It would have been.
so COVID, sorry. Missed
Yep.
the next
Red
year for
shirt.
COVID.
COVID.
Then
Tommy John.
Tommy John, which you missed two
Rehabbed.
years for.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
play 1 year. So then you finally play 1 year, sign out of Cyprus to Hope. And now
Yep.
we're a sophomore at Hope at this point in the 2023-2024 year with one collegiate baseball season under your belt.
That
That's
is
insane.
correct. That is
That's
correct.
absolutely insane. So let's spend a little bit of time on the Tommy John. I know this is like a lot of years. You obviously didn't have Flex Pro way back then, and we're treating you like an old man now. Like, how could you ever recount what happened way back in 2021? But how did you feel about your rehab process? What do you think, if anything, was missing? Do you think you guys like were absolutely nails on certain pieces? Obviously, we're asking you to play 2020 hindsight. However, you're also, knock on wood, healthy and dominating
Hmm.
now. So it's not like we can say like, oh, my rehab was super shitty. You obviously are at a point where you're
No,
doing well.
that was probably more so the reason why it did take the whole 2 years. I first inter squad is when I popped it. I went over to the trainers, they did the tests. They were under the impression it was a strain. So I'm thinking, woohoo, it's not torn.
Yeah, no
I
biggie.
get
Six
to,
weeks, I'll be back.
yeah, right. So you progress through the throwing program, which I did, and then I got to the bullpen stage, and I remember I was throwing it at like 75% in the pen. And Rachel and Nicolette, they are the trainers over at Cypress College. Bless them. They got me through all that. They were there for when they told me, how much the rehab was going to be and this and that. I cried. It was, how it is. Whole world comes crashing down. But yeah, we ended up doing about 4 months worth of prehab. It was rehab, which turned into prehab when we found
Right.
out that it's torn. Like you're at a 85, 90% tear. You got to have surgery. And so I'm like, oh boy, I'm thinking I wasted all that time. Well, I have the surgery, and right away in the first post-op I had where they take the cast off, Dr. Shepard, he's like, dude, you got great mobility. Then I remember he takes my elbow and he straightens it out, and I could feel all the scar tissue breaking, and I could feel the blood rush through the fingertips and rush back up into my head. And I got all lightheaded, and it was just half of it was I was scared that he just snapped my snapped my arm back again. And then we would go over to SMI with Joan. It was funny, Cody Ponce. He was there the same time I was every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Uh we both had PT in there. And so it's cool to see him progress through the KBO, then to go over to Japan, or well, he was in Japan, then to go to the KBO and then get signed. Dude, it was devastating watching his outing. Hopefully he gets better soon. That sucked to see. But yeah, they took really good care of me over there at SMI. It was long, it was meticulous, it sucked. It's a mental battle that they all kind of tell you, like, hey, this is gonna be long. Are you sure you want to go through this? And you're sitting there like, yes, like I want to play ball again. Come on, like let's do this. And then you're 13 months into it and you're like, oh my gosh, like I just want my identity back. Couldn't even golf for the first 10. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, no baseball, no golf. Like, who am I now?
I couldn't hold the fishing rod. I couldn't go fishing because I'm holding it in my left hand. I'm ambidextrous in certain things. But yeah, it was just a long rehab process. That was the same time Dustin May needed to have his second Tommy John. And I was being asked to go fill in for, I forget which summer ball team. And that happened. And I was like, no way. I'm not, I'm going to take the extra 2 months, do my throwing progression at Cypress, and be ready to go for season. So it was a little bit longer of a rehab than it normally would have been, but ultimately I think it was better playing chess, not checkers. Same thing with the eligibility. During that time, I went part-time for school. That way I didn't burn semesters that I wasn't playing with, you know what I'm saying? There were certain things that I did thinking it was going to buy me more time to play Division One, but because I went part-time, I didn't have the amount of credits. So I had like 3 D2s in Colorado, Dominguez Hills, San Marcos, another one in Oregon, Washington, and then Hope. And Hope was like, hey, online classes, we have a field job because they heard that I love to do the mound at Cypress. That's my pregame ritual. And they're like, we got a mound here that you could do and we'll pay you. That's my scholarship. The field job was my scholarship. So, which, you know what? I don't know if I'm able to say that. I'm pretty sure I'm able to say that.
It's like work study. I mean,
It
that's
is
a real thing. That is work study. Don't worry,
genuinely a work study. Okay.
You're not going to lose eligibility for that. No, man, you're good. Good check. Good check on yourself. But no, that's the thing at every school, especially. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to what's going on now at like the Power 4 schools. Those dudes don't do work study, but
no, they get NIL. They get
everything.
I just went and played in the Cape with a bunch of those guys, and I'm sitting there like, damn, you guys got it nice.
Yeah, like doing team laundry, like that's work study stuff. Doing whatever it is, going to work. Going to work the lines or be like a ball chaser at volleyball or soccer games, that's work study stuff. That happened at my school.
All right.
Don't worry, man.
Because I said that,
good.
And I was like, wait a minute.
We're leaving this in. And the reason we're leaving it in is maybe this will provide reassurance to others out there that are in a similar position. Like, no, it is okay to accept money to do work.
Yeah, especially now with NIL, I think you could I think all that has gone out the window now. So I just had a little scare for no reason.
It's all good. What an enticing thing to get you to Hope. We were like, hey, man, well, you can do the mound here.
Honestly, I was sold. They said, look, we know you love to do the mound. We'll pay you to do it. And I was like, no way. Like, you will? And on top of that, at the time, the pitching coach was not Lob. It was Gavin. This is actually what sold me on going to Hope. He goes, as a pitcher, when I was in college, I hated shagging BP too. So pitchers, once they get their work done, they get the conditioning, you guys are good to go. I'm like, no freaking way. I'm there. I hate shagging BP. It used to be fun. And then now you get older and you're just like.
Now you're 5-6 years into college baseball.
Yeah, you're like,
shagged enough.
I'm screaming at people, why are you fouling the ball off in BP? Like, holy cow. You're paying to go play fetch, essentially. But yeah, no. So he sold me on that. I'm like, hell yeah, no BP, I ain't shagging. Well, then I come to find out, which great news, he's leaving, Lob's coming, and I'm like, that's phenomenal. I was talking to Trey at that time. Man, how much is the yard? $350 a month. And I don't know if I could do that. Shoot. Let's see. We'll have to work something out. Oh, he's going to be our pitching coach now? Let's go. It was just everything kind of fell into place. But as much as I not take advantage, because it's utilizing my resources and having Lob, I went up to Canada for a summer, preached his name out there everywhere I go, paying Lobdale, backyard bullpens, you know. So it's trying to give credit where credit is due.
For sure. I want to hang our hats on one thing real quickly in Tommy John discussion. It sounds like for you, given your emotional reaction that you said you experienced with your athletic trainers back at Cypress, you talk
Hmm.
about having the impression when you saw Dustin May get hurt again after returning. It sounds like for you, a lot of a lot of the physical stress wasn't necessarily the problem. It was more dealing with the mental struggles of, am I
100%.
good? Am I ready? So what do you think ultimately gave you that pat on the back or reassurance that you are emotionally and mentally ready to pick up the ball and go again?
Honestly, it was the time. It was Joan at SMI. I was itching to get back to it. Now you got to remember, this is after COVID, so like I redshirted, wasn't able to play. Then COVID comes along and takes it from you, and you're like, man, like I'm itching to get back out there. And then I popped my elbow, and now I did the math. It was over almost 1,200 days over 3 years, and I was just itching to get back. So I think it was understanding that, look, I came back to Cyprus physically ready. You know how PT is. You start working on muscle groups that you had no idea even existed. I had, what? What do you mean my psoas? What even is a psoas muscle? Like you have to have people explain things to you so that way you understand how your body works. So people always would say like, "Oh, you had Tommy John? Did it make you throw harder?" It's like, no, like that's not how it works. Now, yes, they took that extra vein out of
The
your wrist.
palmaris.
I was gonna I was gonna hold off on the name for the joke, the punchline. But after I had
Uh-oh.
come out of
I'm sorry.
surgery, they go, "Hey doc, like, how is it?" I'm all loopy. "You're good. You're good. You had a real nice palmaris longus, and so we're able to weave it in there, sew it up." And I go, "Yeah, that's what she said." And he started laughing, and so I show everyone my palmaris longus. I go, "Yeah, I got a nice palmaris longus."
That being your
But
initial reaction coming out of surgery anesthesia is incredible. We got to look at the inner workings of the Josh Landry mind.
I think with the wrong side of my brain, I'm a lefty. They say lefties are weird. I'll wear that proudly. We are. We're different. But to circle back to the mental and physical side of returning from Tommy John, look, you've done the work. You've done, and you have to be disciplined in doing your rehab. You have to understand, like, hey man, you're laying low, you're staying under the radar, you're stacking your chips up so that way you could cash in one day. And that's genuinely how I felt about it. So when I came back, and it was cool, you had Bomber over there. He's the coach of FJC. He came across the field to shake my hand. And he was like, "Hey, big man, I heard what happened, and I'm stoked to see you back out here." We even had PT. He actually would come in and we'd have PT together at SMI. He would be there sometimes. So it's cool to hear that from other people and know like, okay, cool. I'm on the right path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's paying off. It's a little bit of that validation. So yeah, as long as you stick to doing your rehab, you stick to doing the work, you shouldn't be questioning anything. You should be getting to the point to where everything you do off the field, even now, everything I do off the field is so that way when I get to touch the ball, it goes the way we want it to go. It was a little bit rough that first year. They always say command is usually an issue. And looking back, it definitely was. But at the time, I was like, wow, I'm in and around the zone. Like this is great. And now as you evolve into a different pitcher, you're like, wow, no wonder I had arm issues, man. Your body was not moving right. But yeah, I would just say it's more so just it was a thirst to get back out there. I had been gone for almost 4 years. I posted the memoir that Michael Jordan had sent out on his return from retirement after he came back from the White Sox. Then it was just 2 words, I'm back. I think actually ever since then I watched The Last Dance every time I'd take the ball. So I think that's what started it. So it's definitely the mentality of just being like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I want to get back out there.
That's cool. I'm happy to hear that from you, that actually having the time was beneficial, because my line of work is obviously to help guys stay on the field or get back to the field. And we can look at muscular readiness, tendon readiness, and offer all these objective points to try to make sure an athlete is in the proper place. But we need to acknowledge that feel is also a very real thing, that the athlete's mental state is also a very real thing. And sometimes it is the data that can help support the athlete and let them know that you are doing the right things and it is now time for you to go. You've checked every box, you're good, and that offers reassurance. But for others, it is truly just having the time away to themselves, looking back at what they had gone through, all the work in having that itch, that fire again, like literally having the ball taken from you for 4 years. That yes, it was probably difficult to get over the hurdle of like kind of like the devil and angel on your shoulder saying like, oh, it's been so long, like you're not going to be ready to go back. But on the other side of like, nah, man, it's time. You can do
Mm-hmm.
this. You've trusted the process. You've put in all the work that you can put in. You'll be okay.
Yep.
Well, that is awesome, and I appreciate you sharing all that. And now let's move on a little bit from the injury. And you began to talk about some of your performance. Now you cemented your names in the record books at Hope International as a starting pitcher. However, when you made your return, you were a reliever at Cypress and you were a reliever your first year at Hope. Was that comeback to being a reliever because the team was still so stacked? Was it trying to manage your innings, or were you just not good enough at that point to be the starting pitcher?
You could ask Carlos Gonzalez over there at Cyprus. I think I was in his ear just about every day. Los, give me the ball. Give me the ball. When are you going to let me start, Los? I'm sick of coming in the fourth inning and going 5 innings. Like, I was the oh shoot guy for Cyprus. We had Trey, who was a guarantee. I don't think I ever pitched behind Trey until we got into playoffs. It was a guarantee. And then we had Connor. I love you, Connor. I had to come in behind Connor a decent amount, I think 50% of the time. Now I'm getting 2020 mixed up because I know that year I was supposed to take over for one of our starters, Patty Monroe. I was supposed to take over his role, and that was at Saddleback on the day that NBA canceled their season. V League was canceling theirs, and all of a sudden the domino effect was going on. So I was flirting with that starting role for so long, but they found more value in me being an oh shoot guy out of the pen, knowing I could come in, shut the door. I scalped so many wins that year. I think I had more wins than our third starter, just based off of coming in the fourth, fifth inning
Right, and coming in at the right time. You're like, oh well,
and
we
just
have the
taking it
lead,
the
so
rest of the way.
it's Landry's win now.
Yeah, and it was just like, come on, let me start this. That way we could, start the game with the lead instead of trying to push this rock uphill. Why are we doing that? So it was also my first year off of TJ, so it was more so like understanding I'm not going to be a starter. I'm going to be in this limited role. I think I only had 36 innings that year. But then we go to Hope, and again, I was a bullpen guy. Who was it? It was me. There's a picture. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was me and Chili. We were the oh shoot bullpen guys. It was me and him, high leverage. And then the starters took a picture in the beginning of the year, and I just in the back of the room, I just go for our media day, And I just go, that ain't gonna last long. I'm like, take a picture of that again in 3 months. And sure enough, it was a different looking starting rotation. We had Tyler Tilton go down with a knee injury. And they were like, hey, like you're next in line. And boy, I took that crumb and I freaking ran with it. And I had no intentions of giving that cookie back anytime soon. Even this year, who Tilt is back, he's one of our starters again. And he's like, Landry, I want my 7 innings back because I've been the 7 inning demon. I go out there and I go sixth and then Lob pulls me because he doesn't want me to break his record.
That's right. That's confirmed. I have text to show that. It's text, so we don't know if he's joking or not. So I'm taking this as a serious admission of guilt that Lob is pulling you specifically because he doesn't want you breaking his complete games record.
I wish I can screen record right now and send you the picture of what my profile pic is for Lob. It's a text message from him saying 5 CGs for the record next year, something like that. And I was like, I'm gonna hold you to it. I think I should have 5 CG shuddies this year, but I think I only have 3 right now.
Because he keeps pulling you.
Yeah. Larry, let me do it, please. Yeah. So I took over the starting role, and that's when I started to evolve as a pitcher. That's when I started doing starter lifts, started doing these dock workouts. My game evolved and I got a whole lot better. So yeah, I think I had always been a starter at Cypress High School. I was a starter. Get to Cypress College, and that's the only place that I really wasn't a starter. But I would throw starter innings, So then Tommy John happens, limited bullpen innings, get to Hope, work my way, crawl my way out of the bullpen. I've just been running with it ever since. So I definitely prefer starting. I like having my routines, even in summer ball, because in 2024, I went up to Canada to go play with the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and I was a reliever up there. I had 36 innings exactly to pitch up there. That was all I had left. Oh, I'm sorry, no, 26. I think I had 26 innings. So I'm like, sweet, 26 saves, let's do it, And that was a league where it was like, you're either blowing the team out or you're getting blown out. And 1 in every 3 to 4 games was a close game. So I didn't pitch too much up there because there wasn't enough high leverage innings for me to pitch my innings. And then we get to playoffs and I have 14 innings left. So I go to the coach and I'm like, hey, I'm a starter. I think I give you the best shot to beat these guys. And sure enough, we go out to Saskatoon Berries, and I had eight innings pitched, 120 pitches. But Lob, when you're watching this, sorry I didn't tell you that.
It's in the past.
Yeah,
that's in the past.
Yeah, I had
you're stronger for it now.
Yeah, I made the whole city of Saskatoon shut up. It was great. I felt like Kurt Schilling telling the story how he's making all of New York shut up. Oh man, I was on the ripper that day. It was great. It was so much fun. I never heard that many people get that quiet, and it was loud. Like the silence was loud, and I was having so much fun up there.
The Western Canada League is crazy, man.
It is. So I was playing with Med Hat, which is the East Division, and you got some real dinosaur franchises over there, like Weyburn. Ooh, I hated going to Weyburn. You're playing in the middle of a horse track. Yeah, you got some of the newer stuff on the West Coast or on the West side, Okotoks, Energy City, what is the one up to Fort Mac? There's some big stadiums. But yeah, I got 2 appearances as a starter out there, came back as a starter for all of last year. And then I went out to the Cape this past summer as a starter, and that transition, I don't know if I should have prepped better. I wasn't able to do my normal routines that I normally do, so my velo was down, and I'm thinking, oh, but I was getting outs. Everything was going great, but I'm like, I look back at the board like, oh boy, 84, 85. What is going on? Like, this is not good. This is not the place to be doing this right now. Last outing I had out there, I finally had a week's worth of time where I was able to do long toss and do my stuff like a starter would. And I go 5 innings in the Eastern Conference championship game, no runs. I threw a jam. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And I would look back at the scoreboard, and I was back up to 88, and I was like, sweet. So there definitely is a big transition difference between bullpen and starting. Whoa, I would much rather be starting, and I'll do whatever I got to do. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. I'll do whatever I got to do to help our guys win, to help whatever team I'm on win, and I'll do it proudly. But if I had to pick the two, I would say starting. Yeah, starting's fun.
We're going to give you the opportunity now to toot your own horn for a little bit. You obviously had tremendous success statistically last year. You're having a statistically great season this year. Back in your first year with Hope, you had a good year, but not compared to what you had last year and what you're having this year. What do you credit the statistical transformation to?
Peyton Lobdell. No, but seriously, the pitcher I am now is leaps and bounds away from who I was in 23-24. Mechanically, my body wasn't moving properly. The things that I was learning at 24 years old are things that I wish I would have learned at 17, 18, 19. It so happened to be a little bit later, and that's fine. I got to learn, I got to get better, but I was just starting to do those dock lifts, starting to do all the starter routines. So I think my body and my game was still adjusting to being in that role versus being a bullpen guy where it's like every day you got to be war. Every day is war. Every day is a Red Bull. Like that gets exhausting. That's very tiring at the end of the season when you're supposed to be the high leverage guy. It is fun because you're like, every game I get to go, but shifting to be able to hone that in on one day, it took a little bit of an adjusting to. As a bullpen guy, you get your reps every day. You're playing catch every day. As a starter, you have certain high intent days, certain low intent days, and certain moderate days. So everything's scheduled to where that way you can maximize your output on one certain day. And again, the lifts, the workouts that go into that, I was still trying to figure out. I was like a baby deer. I remember first starting to do these workouts and just thinking to myself, am I cut out for this? Like, what am I doing? My body hurts so bad doing these lifts. And it did. That's another thing. The adjustment that my body physically had to make took time, to be honest. And so I think that's what that was in 23 and 24. I was just working on fine tuning things that were rusty or that I didn't have. And then last year, me and Trey went to the yard. We pitched every day together. We were both the day one, game 1 and 2. It was 100% success rate. And we knew that because we knew, like, we're playing a team that we know we're going to beat. It's like, hey, all right, whoever has the best outing, buys a round of golf or whatever it is, whoever has the worst, between the two of us buys a round of golf.
Yeah.
And we were in the yard together every day. We had the same workouts. We pushed each other. Like, it was the epitome of iron sharpens iron. And we pushed each other. We both knew that we're both aces and neither one of us wanted to let the other one have a run up on each other. But I love Trey like no other. He's a brother to me. We have bled together. We have cried together. We have celebrated the highest of the highs, and we have fought through the lowest of the lows. We were teammates at Cypress. This is my first year in 5 years that I haven't had him next to me. So adjusting to that this year and carrying that mentality into this year, so that way I could still be a well-oiled machine, I pivot towards Trey. I'm coming after your wins record. I got him on that 2 wins ago. Trey, I'm coming after your strikeout record. I think I'm either 9 or 10 away from the all-time record there. So like there's a lot of things that it's all right, it's still me versus you, buddy. Like this is what's helping me. And so I'm a run with it.
All right, we're gonna go summary mode again real quick. So you feel one of the major jumps for you just came from being physically prepared, whereas early on you were just straight up competing with what you had, but it took you truly a year to get where you felt like you were physically prepared to handle being a high level college pitcher and a starter at that. Then this is where the question's actually going to come in. And I find this very interesting because you hear people preach constantly, especially in the sport of baseball, that you should never compare yourself to anyone else. You should always be concerned about your own process. Nobody's the same. And of course, nobody's the same. Like that, it doesn't take a rocket
Yeah.
scientist to find out that you and Trey actually are different pitchers. He's a super hard throwing, explosive righty, and you're a long lefty with crazy deception and all this. So you guys are getting your results in very different ways. But why do you think you have found success in trying to compete with those closest to you as opposed to just solely focusing on you and you alone?
Well, as far as the team perspective, you're only as good as your weakest link, right? So if I'm only focusing on me and I'm not trying to share any of my knowledge with anyone else, and I'm closing doors off to my teammates, even if they're not teammates and they're friends that play on other teams. You know how tight knit the baseball community is. Like that's like the number one way to castrate yourself from everyone else and isolate yourself. I want to win. I hate losing, and I think losing is embarrassing because it means that, look, unless it was a close game and he was like, man, you gave it your all, you gave it 100%, and you still didn't get it, then you know what, tip your cap, that's fine. But let's be real, how many times is it like that? Maybe 10% of the time it's like that. Nowadays, at least, it seems that everyone's just like, man, we got beat today. Yeah, we got beat today because we don't do the stuff on the side that is going to set us up to have success when it's time to go. You can't just expect things to fall into place. And so I try and communicate that to my teammates. Sometimes I don't do it in the nicest ways, and you know what? That's fine. I tell people at the beginning of the year, look, we start the year with 50 dudes. I am not going to know 50 of your guys' names. I'm going to wait until you prove yourself that you have some sort of value, and then I'm going to remember your name. And I don't want to come off as being a dick. This is my 8th year of doing this. I can't remember everyone's names. You know how hard it is to remember 40 new names in the fall. Like, dude, I'm trying to recognize faces. So we get into inter squads, we get into finding out who our team is really going to be. And then that's when you're really able to double down and elaborate and know whose role is going to be what, and then help them get themselves comfortable with it. But having someone like Trey, having someone like Thrift, this year it's Thrifty. He's been nasty. So that's who I'm competing against on this year. On the ERA leaderboards, he's the number one. I'm going after him. It's a very doggy dog world because we're not there yet. You have to have that sort of mentality if you want to get to the next level. Everyone wants to get to the next level, but how are you going to separate yourself? You gotta go to war against them.
It sounds like this will be a decent callback, hopefully. You talking about the Michael Jordan I'm back, falling in love with The Last Dance, watching that, using that to motivate you. It sounds like that has kind of crept into the way you go about your business in your training, your preparation as well, not just mentally, but I know that was a big thing with Michael Jordan or whenever you hear Kobe Bryant be talked about. Either of them were not going to let other people prevent them from having success. And it sounds like in your tenure that is something that has become very important to you. You have very specific goals, both personally and for the team, and you are not going to let someone else get in the way
Yeah.
of you being able to achieve your goal.
Oh, believe me, and I vocalize those thoughts too. And I have a lot of people, more people this year that have issues with it. And at the same time, it's like, well, those people are also the same people who are not fully bought in. So you put two and two together. You know, there's
You're a wily vet, man. No, I get it. It's cool to have this conversation with you. And I appreciate your ability to step back and like actually assess your positioning here. Because it's not like you're trying to have this conversation and be like, people don't get me. They don't understand me. I don't get it. You just have, this is finally your last year of college baseball, unless there's something that I don't know about going on in the background where
uh-uh.
somehow you're getting a ninth year. But with this finally being your last year, like, what is the point of holding anything back? You want people to know exactly who you are, what they're going to get on the daily basis, and it's probably only worth doing if you're going to go all the way anyways. I'm sure that's
Well,
how you feel at least.
to be honest with you, I've always been this way. I've always, every single team that I've been on, I've been put into a leadership role. Naturally, that happens after your first year at JUCO. You're a returner. You're part of the upper class. So automatically, you're supposed to have some sort of leadership responsibility, but not everyone takes that on. So it falls onto a few shoulders. Well, by the time it was my fifth year, even when I was doing rehab there at school, not playing, I would show up to the field and I was still in a leadership role. Guys were still coming up to me, asking advice as far as pitching. So I was vocal throughout Cyprus, not as much, but when I got to Hope, I automatically took on that role because I know who I am. I know what my responsibility is. Larry and Phil even told me, like, look, I expect you to be in a leadership position. You're an older guy. You've been around. You know what's supposed to be done. We would have guys during BP. Again, don't stand in the effing group during BP, and I won't get mad, and I'm not going to yell at you. Everyone has a job to do during BP, and it's to go run down baseballs. Why am I standing in left field by myself while there's 14 of you guys in center field spread out? So I got very accustomed to yelling at people to spread out. We'd have guys standing against the fence in the shade and loud as ever, louder than the music. Get off the fence! And I would yell out people's names. And you look in, you see the coaches, and they're smiling because they find it amusing. They're like, good, yell at them. Yell at the people who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Being vocal has definitely been a part of my game as well. It just comes out. I don't mean it all the time. You execute a pitch, you might hear a war cry. Yeah, it's just I'm not mad, even if it's a ball. It's like, Blue, I'm not mad at you. I'm happy with the execution right there. It's what we wanted. Every pitch means something, and everything you do means something on the field. We do PFPs. Guy misses the ball, throws it away. I'm the first person yelling, hit the pole, hit the pole. This year, more than ever, like I was saying, we've had more issues with guys this year just because in 2024, I was a missing puzzle piece to an already painted picture. Me and Trey and a few other guys just were fill-ins to what they already had. And we would hear how they lost to Georgia Gwinnett at the World Series. They lost to Georgia in a regional years prior to that. They get walked off on at LC by LC. Just this team has experienced so much losing on the biggest stage, but they've won to get there, and they're right there. And so we had that desperation to win for them. And in our regional that year, I pitched game one championship game. I pulled a Kershaw moment. I choked. And I remember being so devastated, thinking to myself, wow, you just blew it for all these seniors, man. Like, these guys really cared and you choked it for them. And ultimately winning it all, just the standards that were set that year, majority of the guys returning were bullpen guys. So we knew that we had to maintain that same quota. We made some adjustments for guys that were coming in because you can't have the same exact identity every year. New faces come in, they
It's
have
never
their
the
own.
exact same team. Never.
Right,
As much as you
right,
want to say it is, someone's
right.
gone, someone's new.
Like for the most part, we had a whole new position player roster. We had a few returners, but we lost all of our infield, two of our outfielders. So we had a lot of new faces coming in, but the staff was able to maintain the culture and was able to uphold the traditions and the standards. This year it's like yelling at a brick wall. Sometimes, I blew up in the outfield one day during practice because we already had to run 45 seconds from foul pole to foul pole twice, which neither time we made, but bless Lob for not making us do it again because we didn't put our BP away in time. It took us 3 minutes to tear BP down when it should be under a minute and 30. But realistically, when everyone locks in, we could do it within 55 seconds to a minute. That's the standard, right? It's the little things. But guys didn't want to uphold the standards, so we had to run. And then after we ran, we get done with catch play. We go to the back. Guys are sitting down. I go, what are we doing? We have stuff to be doing. Man, we just ran. And when I heard that, I got about this much peeved off, right? And immediately I go, the f- you mean that was punishment for not doing the little things right? That wasn't conditioning. And the person who said it, by my tone right away in my response, knew he messed up, put his head down, grabbed his stuff, went over to where we'd go do our sprints. Someone else chimes in with some stuff that really ticked me off. It's not that serious. And I went from this piss to about like here. And I just blew up talking about have an obligation to uphold standards. Why don't you guys stand for something? You know, not being soft, but not in a nice way at all. And so we do our sprints, then we go out to shag BP. And you would think after getting our stuff pushed in that guys would pull their heads out of their behind and go out and do the little things right. Nope. Everyone starts standing around, balls are hitting the fence. I could see Larry shifting and I just blew up. I was like, there's a whole lot of in this group that need to look in the mirror and reevaluate what they want to be doing here and what their role is in this program. And I was hot. Glob comes walking out because all the coaches could hear me blowing up. And it's like, what's going on? You want to put their 2 cents in about how this program should be ran. You want to, this and that. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it's passion. There's no reason that I should put in and other people should put in as much work as we do for a select few to hold us back. And I have no issue being the voice for those other people that come to me with the same issues and concerns. I have no problem. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like me. And I don't have to like you. But on the ball field, I'll go to war for you. And I expect you to go to war for me. But off the ball field, if you don't like how I handle things, that's fine. That is fine by me. Like we're adults. That's fine. But on the ball field, when we wear the uniform, you better dap me up because I'm gonna dap you up. And I'm gonna show you love. You better show me love. That's just how it should be. But yeah, there's a falling standard, and I hate to see it. My girlfriend's dad uses the analogy: don't catch a falling knife. That's a falling knife that I will grab 10 out of 10 times because I would rather grab the knife by the blade and be the one to get cut than see the ship sink because the blade hit the ground. Like I have no problem being that voice. And like My coaches have to tell me sometimes, hey, tone it down some, but they never have to tell me to turn it up.
I'm sure they're gonna love this part of the podcast then when they go listen to it. They're gonna be like, dude, what were you on going into that? But I think my job now is to make sure the masses recognize what this means to you and also how good you guys actually are. It's weird to say that you guys are having a down year record wise
Hmm.
because I mean the record is not quite as good as it was the past 2 years.
And
And I
performance
mean
wise.
performance wise, that's also me saying it like, oh my gosh, you guys are the 18th team in the country right now according to the rankings instead of the second team in the country or the seventh team in the country or
Hmm.
whatever you were the prior years. So it's not like you guys are bad. And it's funny, like someone could listen to this, have no idea what's going on in the NAIA baseball landscape, and think like, "Whoa, they have really fallen."
They must have
But
tanked.
wow, this Landry guy is really up Shit's Creek without a paddle. No, you're just you just want to win a national championship, and that's what I was trying to allude to at the
Yes.
front of this podcast. Is you've been a part of very special teams, and I know this program is special to you, so you want to go out with that special moment. And
Yep.
it's not like the year can't be special without a national championship, but it's just way sweeter if you do win the national championship. So maybe we take the lighter side now, just for a moment after we saw you get heated, and now we talk about the ways you celebrate instead of the ways that you get peeved off. So I have heard you're a big protein consumer, and the way you reward yourself post game is with a steak, and it seems like you have very specific cuts of meat or types of meat that it has to be in order to reward
Wagyu.
you. Yeah, I guess yeah, Wagyu steak is the proper way to reward yourself.
Oh
But hey, I
yeah.
guess that kicks off the recovery process. So, how
Slab
did
of
this
Wagyu to the
tradition
face.
start? Like, what's going on, man? Is just like that Wagyu steak is just the best way to recover post game?
Man, well, this it was on a road trip. We were in Arizona. It was over 100 degrees, so they pushed the games back. So we have all day. So we were just bored trying to find places to go, things to do. Found a shop down the corner. They had a box of Wagyu, and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I I
I
miss
need that.
Wagyu. I need
Yeah,
that. I'm gonna get that. I think the boys will like that as well. So yeah, and then it was just Wagyu.
it just became tradition from there.
Yeah, pretty much. Just I think that's about as far into depth as I could go into Wagyu. But
Hey, gotta let some things be team
uh,
things.
yeah.
I'll reserve any fishing questions, but
Oh
I'm glad to
man,
know that the boys are fed.
the higher
And
ups are reporting the Wagyu.
the boys are fed, and
Uh,
that makes me feel good. I love those little like inside team jokes and just how like traditions can start. I think that stuff's hilarious.
oh
Yeah, I mean, don't fix what isn't broken. If you want to celebrate some wins with some higher
yeah.
end cuts of meat, by all
Yep.
means, go for it. I got no
As
issues
long
with
as
that.
it's no mouse traps. Can't do my cap to the guys from last year. Can't do the mouse traps.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let that one be. I feel like that is too far off the deep end. Like this is we're getting into like Nick Saban rat poison
Yeah.
territory of just like things being planted and like that's us that's them trying to take us down. It's just like, that's
We're-
almost what this sounds like to me. Is
It
you guys
was.
have
It
had
was
so much
almost that.
success for so long that you need to find things to keep you and the boys motivated. Maybe that's just the take is Josh Landry is closer to Nick Saban than I ever could have imagined.
You
That's
know
what I'm
what?
walking away from this interview with.
When you put it that way, I could kind of see it.
You're willing to celebrate, but you'll only celebrate
After
when
the
the
job's
job
done.
is done. The
Yeah.
job has to be done.
It's something to where it's a not only a superstition, but I find it actually is it's the baseball gods. You know how it is. They see what you do. Even this year, it's been something that it's like, nope, job's gotta get done. We have guys that go play poker. They had the poker tournament at the house, and I would love to go, but you guys love to play poker the night before I pitch, and I can never do that. So yeah.
Hey, I'm glad some of the routines have stuck. You seem to be a man that sticks to the script. No matter what that script is, it's going to be your script, and I respect that. So, Josh, we have now come to the part of the podcast which is potentially the toughest question of the day. What,
Uh,
if anything, did we miss in that you feel we still need to get off your chest?
well, I want to more so know because walking through the Guardians, because this is when something I wanted to ask you. When I was
Oh, yeah,
walking
all right.
through the Guardians complex, I saw, and you know how it is. Anyone who has a Flex Pro recognizes the case, right? So I look up and I see three Flex Pros sitting in the trainer's office on top of the cabinet. And I forget his name. He's the Guardians facility director there. And I look at him,
Okay.
I go, those Flex Pros? He goes, oh yeah. They got about 100 more of them over on the minor league side. I was like, damn. So how did you come into working that out? Because seeing that was sick. Being like, whoa, we got those. I know what those are. Like,
Yeah, getting started with the Guardians is kind of a funny story. If we really tell the full Guardian story, I'll spare some of the details. But while we were starting to spread a little bit in Major League Baseball, we routinely would send out emails about the research that we were doing or like what we believe we can provide with FlexPro.
mm,
And this might have been back now in maybe the spring of 2022. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think this might have been spring of 2022 now. We get an email from someone with the Guardians. I don't know their title, and I'm pretty positive they are no longer there. But it was someone like high enough up that it was like we had to listen. They said in their response, like, thank you for the continued updates. We are not interested in FlexPro Grip, and please refrain from emailing us going forward. We will let you know if we ever have any interest again. And
oh,
so we got like a very politically correct, very kindly worded, stop talking to us. Like just go away. And so
mhm.
we're like, all right, well, I guess the Guardians aren't interested. Year and a half later, maybe. Yeah, I think like 2024, we get outreach from the Guardians saying like, "Hey, we've been hearing a little bit about this like FlexPro grip stuff. Like, is there a way we could like try something out?" And we're like, "Oh, yeah, like we've got like all this stuff that we've been doing for the past year and a half, but we haven't sent it over to you because this." And we forward the email back to them because we still had it. And they were like, okay, totally understand. Not sure how that was communicated, but that person is no longer with us. We are very much interested in Flex Pro Grip and would love to learn more about how we could get involved with what you guys do. And what started with the Guardians, so we just did testing. They didn't do any training whatsoever, and they just wanted to do testing with a handful of individuals, a handful of players. Then, after doing initial testing, they were like, well, this is dumb if we just test and we find out like some guys are in a good spot and some guys are in a crappy spot. Then, like, what do we actually do with these guys who are in a crappy spot? So then it
Mhm.
turned around from just testing to trialing some training and actually like having an initial like test group or like beta group for the
Mhm.
Guardians. And they had positive results. The guys enjoyed it. The organization really liked the direction it was headed. So then we get called out to start working with their incoming draft guys for that 2024 draft. Then going into 2025 spring training, they test all across the organization, and all training is still optional. Because, of course, professional baseball, you can't force anyone to do
Right.
anything. So guys still have to opt into it, but they test all their guys as a part of their physical assessments. 2026, the exact same thing. So there's guys in the organization that we work with directly on their programming. There's other guys that get their programming directly from the medical department. And then there's guys that just assess when they're told to do their testing, and that's their only involvement with the device. But yeah, we've now had the Guardians as a partner organization since 2024.
Okay. So that's how you devised all the long holds and essentially
Kind
all
of.
the, okay.
Like some of it is like working with those pro orgs where it becomes very helpful is devising more like the in-season programming stuff
Hmm.
and determining where do we feel players, not only from a physiological perspective, like according to the literature, are getting the greatest positive effects, but also from the subjective side, like the feedback, where they're telling us this is where we feel our best, or we are still seeing positive, objective results, but feeling amazing, as opposed to, as you know, like you can do something that's amazing on paper, but makes you feel like shit.
Hmm.
And truthfully, like at the beginning of our days with Flex Pro Grip, we probably did a little bit too much of that, where we just followed the literature to a T and were pushing guys harder than they needed to be pushed. And one of the greatest things we learned from the Guardians organization is actually stepping things back a little bit. They would admit they probably operate a little bit more conservatively on the training side, and even seeing the positive adaptations that have occurred from handling guys a little bit more conservatively opened
Hmm.
our eyes to what can happen even at lower intensities or lower loads, and then reserving the higher intensity dosages for either a certain time of year or certain athletes that are like, yeah, I need it, give me more, like the juice head kind of guys. No, the long hold stuff that came from a guy out your way, specifically up at UC Davis, though. So a good way up. What is that? I-5 maybe
Uh-huh.
up the
Uh-huh.
five from you guys. I think I know my California highways, but there's a researcher out there named Keith Barr who is one of the foremost tendon researchers on the planet, and he does a lot of work with long hold isometrics, long duration isometrics, specifically at low intensities, and what that can do for cellular repair, blood flow, collagen synthesis, basically all the fancy words that lead to tendon recovery
Hmm.
and tendon repair. So that's why we do those things. Then we mix it with like the really widespread programming that we get involved in with these pro organizations, and we have
Okay.
this perfect marriage of information that we can then hand out to the Hope International pitching staff.
Well, it's definitely been an asset the last 3 years, but the last 2 years I would say is last year I was able to maintain spin rate and velocity. I think Trey was able to increase his a little bit, but yeah, that's something to where it's definitely helped a lot. So it was cool seeing that up there and being like, yo, big league tools. I got big league tools. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we got that at Hope. That's right, guys. I know I sent the text to you and you sent me the picture, and I said it's got to be reassurance knowing that you guys are doing the right thing. And you responded was like, nah, man, the stats from last year I think were the
Yeah.
reassurance that I needed.
Mhm.
But I'm sure for like some of the younger guys in the program that might not like fully understand it, of
Mm.
course it's that whole like
Buying in.
standard and buy-in thing. Like
Yep.
you've seen it, you've had the results. You can be told until the cows come home what's actually going to help you, but sometimes you need to hear it from somewhere else or someone else, or see it somewhere else or from someone else. And I'm sure you had guys on your team that look up and see Flex Pro in the Guardians clubhouse, and then they think like, maybe I should take that a little bit more seriously.
To be honest with you, that was I would have hoped for that, but we only had four pitchers go with us to the Guardians thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just it was very, very disappointing. Very disappointing turnout. We had all the hitters had to go because they had hit of the cages, and it was left up as an optional thing for the pitchers as far as who wants to go play catch, get their throwing in. Yeah, so now
Ah,
there's
dang.
you
Well,
understand
shoot.
a little bit of the frustration even more clearly now with what I'm saying as far as
Uh-oh.
a lack of buying in. I just
Come
that
on,
would have
boys.
been really cool. That would have been really cool, especially for them to see that. But
Come on, Royals.
uh,
I'm not going to let you guys go out like this because as much as this is Josh's last shot, my identity at the NAIA level is partially tied to you guys. It used to be wholly tied to you guys, but we also started working with Doan, who you guys could potentially run into in
yeah,
the
yeah, they
in
got
the
a good
tournament.
stat. They got a
Doan's
whole
having a
squad.
really good year. So between you guys and Doan, my NAIA heart and identity and livelihood just relies upon your pitching staffs. So I'm gonna need the boys to lock in.
Every sixth or seventh day.
Gosh darn it. That's the first appearance of that on this podcast, and I'm a little upset by it.
But every time I get the ball, again, I'm a quote it's from The Last Dance. I forget who it is. I don't know if it's his agent or it's one of his buddies, but he's talking about Michael Jordan. He goes that if you guys are gonna show up and watch me play, that I have an obligation to you guys to give you my 100%. And that's how I feel with my team. And there's times where I'm getting myself amped up. I have Isaiah 6:8 written on my glove. Send me. I'm ready. I will go for our guys. And having that sort of mentality, I think, is what has allowed me to continue to have success and allowed me to still play ball, allowed me to be on the right side of the stat sheet. But yeah, it's a shout out Michael Jordan and The Last Dance for such a great Netflix series.
If it means anything to you, maybe you know this, but to me, that quote that you just said actually originated with Joe DiMaggio, and I kept it in my bat bag for years. I got it on a laminated sheet of paper. I don't know the quote word for word, and of course, this was said way back in the 40s or 50s or whatever, so it's probably been changed a few times. But that was when Joe DiMaggio said, "There's someone out there that's seeing me play for the first or last time, and I owe them my best." So exact same sentiment, and that stuck with me throughout my entire baseball career. It's not that you have to owe everyone your best performance and you have to be your best every single time you step out there, because that's not controllable, but you can give someone your best effort, your best attitude.
Yep. Amen to that. And I told the staff that this year. I go, look, all I ask, and this was in the fall, like all I ask from you is to give 100%. You're going to get 100% from me. I may not be 100% right. I may be wrong, but I'm gonna be 100% wrong, 100% or nothing. So yeah, I didn't know that. I'm gonna want to go look that up myself.
There you go. Landry, with that, I just want to say thank you for the time today. This has been a great conversation. It's been fun to laugh it up with you.
Thank you.
I love having you Cali boys on, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around the height of the rotation at Cypress, knowing that there were two lefties at 6'6", string beans. There was no way either of you guys were sniffing 200 pounds between you and Connor Wild. You guys were releasing the ball about 4 feet from home plate between you two.
See, and I probably was releasing it a little further at that point too, because my front side would collapse.
You were getting
heavy.
Way down on the.
I was getting down
putting
there.
It in the catcher's glove. Be careful, man. You're about to open up a new door for us to go down with a full mechanical breakdown. So if anything, just win some more games so you can keep playing your career, and then we can have you back on for the Josh Landry mechanical breakdown. Because if we start down that road, it's going to be another hour and a half that we're on this podcast.
We'll have to do that after you have someone on to talk about mechanics on turf.
That's like I said, I wrote it down. I'm staring at that note right here next to me. So I guess everyone listening, there you go. There's a teaser for a future episode. Everyone can hold me accountable on that, because I owe you guys my best. I owe Josh my best, and I owe you guys my best. So we're gonna dig into that somehow, some way. Josh, thank you so much once again. This really has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it tremendously, and unfortunately, it is time for me to let you go. But big thanks, as always, to everyone for laying back with us.
Thank you for having me. Go Royals, guys.